Hi everyone, in this video we are going to discuss on prohibition of Gharar in modern exchange. These are the outlines of the questions that will be discussed in this video, and we will proceed with the introduction of Gharar. First of all, what is Gharar? Gharar is an Arabic word that literally means deception, fraud, uncertainty, risk, peril, delusion, or hazard that could lead to destruction or loss. Gharar refers to any transaction involving possible entities whose existence or qualities are unclear due to a lack of knowledge, ignorance of crucial components of the transactions by either party, or ambiguity regarding the capacity of one party to honor the contract. In Islam, work is so highly valued that it is regarded as an act of worship in and of itself. The Sharia requires Muslims to work and amass prosperity in order to fulfill their duty and obligations to Allah, their family, and their community. Islam bans any filthy and corrupt methods of making money, as Prophet ﷺ once has said, "He who cheats is not one of us. Deceitfulness and fraud are things that lead one to hell." Gharar is an impediment to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, since the implementation of Gharar in any work field will imply that the worker's job is indecent and unacceptable, and it will produce economic turmoil because the society will be full of deceit.
Settle down, man. Okay, it's all right.
It's okay, I got him.
All right.
These scenes are unexpected incidents that can happen to anyone. Therefore, most people buy insurance because it can financially protect their families. So, what is the real meaning of insurance? Insurance is a contract entered between two parties, which is the company assuring in the contract of insurance to compensate is known as insurer, while the person to whom such assurance is given is known as insured. In this contract, the insurer is liable to compensate for the specific loss to the insured, who has paid regular considerations such as an insurance premium. However, insurance is a modern exchange that contains Gharar elements in its contract that are prohibited by Islamic law. The existence of Gharar in insurance occurs to the four conditions, which are the uncertainty, existence of the contract and compensation, the outcome of the contract, the length of the contract period, and the amount of compensation and premium. One of the factors of existing Gharar in insurance is uncertainty about the contract's existence, especially ambiguity about the existence of compensation. Insurance has Gharar or uncertainty in its existence because one of its subject matters, which is Makut Azai, namely compensation, has the possibility of not happening to exist in the future. This means that compensation is uncertain because it depends on the occurrence of insurance risk. The next issue is uncertainty in the outcome or result of the contract, especially ambiguity regarding compensation payment. This uncertainty occurs as a result of doubts about the existence of the contract, or more specifically, the compensation. It occurs due to the possibility of the insured event not occurring during the contract period. Therefore, there is no certainty in the payment of compensation at the start of the contract. For instance, home fire insurance, which has the possibility of fire may not happen during the period of the contract, and no compensation will be paid when there is no loss and damage. As previously stated, the possibility of non-delivery implies that there is Gharar in the contract. Another issue of Gharar in insurance is uncertainty about the exact amount of compensation and the insured will receive, or the number of premiums that the insurer will charge. The uncertainty plugs insurance premiums in all cases except those that require lump sum payments at the start of the contract, such as motor insurance. The amount of the premium is uncertain because the insured must pay the total amount of premiums depending on the occurrence of the risk. The last issue is uncertainty in the contract period because it is based on unknown and unknowable time frame. Since knowledge of the happening or occurrence of the insurable risk is beyond anyone's capability and means, this type of uncertainty exists in all types of insurance contracts. We can conclude that conventional insurance carries a lot of Gharar. This is because the contract subject matter is between money and money. The next reason is all uncertainties come because of the insured events occurrence as well as its timing.
Before we discuss this further, we should know what cryptocurrency is and what Islam says about it. Cryptocurrency is a form of digital money that works as a medium of exchange over a computer network. Cryptocurrency use distributed ledger technology, often called a blockchain, to act as a public financial transaction database. In Islam, cryptocurrency as commodity or digital asset are illegal to trade since they contain aspects of uncertainty, wagering, and injury. Munir Khan, the London-based law firm Simons & Simons, head of Islamic finance and Middle East practices, is advising Ben on how to design Sharia-compliant financial products. Khan warned Muslim countries to adopt the technology at the same rate as the rest of the region. In Islamic finance, cryptocurrency, for example Bitcoin, is used as investment tool and cannot be used as a commodity because it is not a paper cash. In contrast to products which are allowed to benefit from purchasing and selling activities, the terms of riba will apply to money that contain earning from sale. Bitcoin as an investment tool contains a lot of shubahat, according to fiqh, and is not encouraged for use. There are a few experts who oppose cryptocurrency. For example, Sheikh Imran Hussein, a current and well-known Muslim scholar, think that any currency that lacks economic worth cannot be regarded as real money. Otherwise, it's not even close to being fair and it's just fiat money. However, in the current year, some experts have changed their opinion from opposing cryptocurrency to accepting it in Islamic finance. Muhammad Daud Bakar, who lead the Sharia Advisory Council of both Bank Negara Malaysia and the Securities Commission, said there is no harm in buying the currency and maintaining it as a saving account or selling it when their value rises. In 2020, he said that crypto trading is Sharia compliant. Declaring cryptocurrency haram based on the reasoning that it is speculative is incorrect. According to Daud, Bitcoin is a new type of asset that cannot be compared to others, and many people prefer it owing to a lack of faith in conventional currency as well as its convenience and speed of use. According to him, Muslim academics will need to research and comprehend many aspects of the monetary system in light of Islamic principle.
Now, let's move on to how to identify Gharar in contemporary exchanges. It is vital to avoid Gharar in the transaction for a variety of reasons, including the prevention of fraud and the protection of the contracting parties' rights, the decrease of the potential for dispute, and the reduction of the possibilities of one party abusing others. However, Gharar is difficult to detect, and because of it, the practice of Gharar can be carried out in a wide range of diverse ways. In this discussion, we are going to identify Gharar in two ways, which are contracts and transaction. In forms of contracts, it is notoriously difficult to unearth the Gharar that takes the form of contracts because it cannot be seen or touched in any way, as a contract might be done orally, verbally, or non-verbally. This makes it one of the most difficult forms of Gharar to discover. For instance, the act of selling real estate that the seller does not personally own is deemed Gharar because it causes ambiguity regarding ownership of the property. Next, Gharar in the form of transaction. The transaction is an exchange between seller and buyer in terms of goods and services. If Gharar took the form of a transaction, it will be quite easy to spot since it is feasible to spot it in two different ways. One is by looking at the material world and the other is by utilizing common sense. For example, a seller who insists on selling the cloud despite the fact that the cloud cannot be touched physically, or even worse, it is impossible to get cloud, is an act of Gharar. Now, this leads us to our main question, which is how to identify Gharar in contemporary exchanges. In the form of contracts, Gharar is still practiced in the same way in contemporary exchanges as before. However, we can't say the same to Gharar in the form of transaction. As a result of technological advancement, the Gharar utilized in modern economic transactions is significantly more complicated. Due to the advent of digital currencies like Bitcoin, Gharar can now be unintentionally carried out. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin makes it impossible to track the owner, and the identity of the Bitcoin is unknown to the general public. Therefore, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoins are considered haram. We can also identify Gharar in e-commerce platforms such as Shopee and Lazada. Many sellers on these platforms sell mystery boxes to customers in exchange for the chance to win a fantastic gift. Even though there is a significant probability that purchasing these mystery boxes may not result in the desired effects, customers are enticed to do so by the promise of fantastic items within them. This is considered Gharar because there is an element of uncertainty surrounding the possibility of receiving the wanted prize. There is also an element of Gharar in the context of transactions in gaming. Any purchases in game that involves an element of mystery and risk are considered as Gharar. Consider the PUBG mechanism of grabbing items from crates. An element of mystery surrounds whether or not the requested present will be delivered. Hence, this is similar in nature to ordering a mystery box.
The existence of Gharar can create an issue for the transaction and contracts between the parties. Islam expressly forbids all business transactions that result in exploitation or injustice to any of the contracts parties. Prohibition Gharar can bring many wisdoms. To begin with, prohibiting Gharar can help to prevent the occurrence of opportunities for oppression and injustice. The prohibition of Gharar is based on the rule of law and fair dealing. If Gharar is not included in any transaction, the rule of mutual consent will not be infringed. The parties will get enough knowledge of the material information about the agreement to give their genuine consent. This will prevent them from being exposed to unnecessary risks in business agreements. Next, prohibition of Gharar can avoid disputes between the parties. If the parties are not fully aware and clear about any material contract information, they may be subjected to unexpected financial responsibilities and commitment. This, of course, can lead to disagreement between parties about the correct and intended consequences of the contract. The other wisdom of prohibition Gharar can ensure the full consent and satisfaction of the contract parties. A contract may be void if not signed by all parties. Only certainty, full knowledge, full disclosure and transparency can lead to full consent. Gharar in financial contract can lead to injustice, exploitation and enmity between the contracting parties. The jurist has identified several reasons for prohibiting the sale of Gharar. Some of them were related to fraud because such a sale amounts to obtaining the property of others by selling unavailable goods, and the contract may result in disputes and disagreement. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has stated in Surah An-Nisa,
يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما.
To avoid potential dispute, enmity and hatred, this verse reveals that Islamic require all wealth acquisition processes in Islam to be based on mutual consent and free of any coercion among themselves. As a result, any contract involving the al-batil is null and void, and Muslims must avoid it in accordance with the Holy Quran. This verse makes it abundantly clear that any devout Muslim must refrain from acquiring wealth illegally.
Next, the debates or controversies lead the scholars to have different views of Gharar. There are some Muslim jurists are likely to discuss the subject and ambitious in creating confusion about it. According to Zaki Badawi, who was a prominent Egyptian Islamic scholar, community activist and promoter of interfaith dialogue, argues that a precise word for Gharar is ambiguous and Gharar is not given a defined term in Islamic law literature. As a result, Muslim scholars are forced to analyze each case separately, resulting in several meanings of the term Gharar. In the year of 2004, the Islamic Capital Market Task Force has emphasized of some authors' definition of Gharar that altered by aspect of deceit, mentioning that Gharar is not uncertainty, risk or ambiguity, but to lead individuals to uncertainty of unknown excessive resulting loss to the other party in the contracts. Some authors also take an identical method to interpret Gharar in signifying likely or certain deception. It emphasizes that Gharar is forbidden not because of risk or uncertainty, but it includes the connotation of deception, as misrepresentation and deception have the same ideas in the Islamic Arabic faith. To simplify the discussion, the concept leads to the conclusion that it's impossible to eliminate all types of risk, since no organization or human activity is risk-free, including the question of profit. Because profit or loss are important aspects in business, this problem might be connected to the expectation of poor performance from some contractual partners. The enormous price charges in some commodities from one day to the next are a good example of this. Riba makes those poor gets poorer and wealthy gets wealthier, because those wealth will be accumulated within those group only. As we know, the borrower is in the deficit unit, and when the time they borrow money, they will bear the more debt because of the charge over the principal amount. Thus, to negate it with a verse, كَيْ لَا يَكُونَ دُولَةً بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ مِنْكُمْ, it means the wealth may not merely circulate among the rich.
To conclude, the prohibition of gharar or doubt in Islamic law is a demonstration of the viability and infallibility of Islamic injunction emanating from the Holy Quran and property tradition. Also, uncertainty cannot be avoided altogether in any business. Risk-taking is rather a condition for the entitlement to profit in business. Therefore, the prohibition of gharar has its rationale such as to ensure full consent and satisfaction of the parties in a contract, and without the full consent, the contract may be invalid, and also gharar in commercial contract may lead to injustice and exploitation among the contracting parties. That is why the honesty among the society should be practiced to exist the best life in Islamic economy. That's all from us. Thank you for watching.